Hello, welcome to this VS Code setup video. I'm gonna go ahead and show you what exactly it is we need to get started with programming. This is actually meant for my computer science students, which in our district we are restricted with certain software. And we use this thing called the Software Center, which provides any software we need to do our jobs and teach in our classes. But you can apply this to any computer, such as your personal computer, but obviously you're not going to have the Software Center to help you out on downloading that software. In that case, you would have to download whatever software it is that I talk about manually through whatever website they can be found on. I'm not really going to talk too much about that. But with that being said, let's go ahead and start working on setting up VS Code. So let's go ahead and actually open up the Software Center on my district's school computer. It can typically be found at your desktop, but if it's not there, you can just go to this bottom left corner where you have the Windows logo. This is our Start menu, and typically you can find it here. As you can see, my most used, I have the Software Center, and I also have the Software Center over here. But if you don't have either of those, all you can do is just type in Software Center, and this should pop up. Alright, and once you type in Software Center, I misspelled center, but you're just going to go ahead and click it or press enter, and now we'll have the Software Center open up. Alright, now at the time of this recording, my Microsoft Visual Studio version 1.71.2 is available at the front of our Software Center. I do believe there's a newer version, a newer update, but we're not going to really talk about that. If you don't see VS Code up here, all you're going to do is go to the search and type in Visual Studio Code, and you can just find Visual Studio Code that way. And you're going to go ahead and click it, and for me it says uninstall because I already have it installed, but for your case it should say install, and that's what you're going to do. Just click install, and I'm not going to go through that whole process again from scratch, but just showing you how you could install everything. Alright, while that's cooking for you in the background, we're going to go ahead and download whatever programming language it is that we'll be using. Now, for the first series of videos, I will strictly be on the Java programming language, but I will work with other programming languages that we'll be downloading later on, and just a few more things. So if you're interested in other programming languages, such as C++ or C#, and other CS topics like game design, web design, cybersecurity, other stuff, I'd highly recommend you stick around for those in the future. Even for any graduating students that I have, feel free to keep up with this channel if you're interested in computer science and you just want to learn a few other languages or CS topics that you didn't learn in my classes. Now, let's go ahead and actually search up whatever it is that we're needing for Java. And sadly, at the time of this recording, I'm not in my school's network right now, but you would typically just type in Java in the search bar, and you would see one thing pop up for Java. It's the Java Development Kit that you're going to need to work with Java. Same thing, you're just going to click it, install, and just wait for it to load. And the next two things, they're not mandatory, but I'd recommend if you're working with CS programming for quite a while. And now I'm gonna go ahead and type in Python, and same thing, Python will pop up right here with the current Python version, and you're just gonna go ahead and download that. And for some reason, Node is available, but yeah, all you would do is click that same way and go ahead and click install. You would do this for any of the 3 that you're downloading. All right. The Python is to code well in Python. Node, the Node.js download is meant for you to code with JavaScript. All right, and in order to check the status of your installation, all you're going to do is click on this tab over here, installation status, and you would just see any status on whatever it is that you downloaded. For example, like VS Code, it's already installed. I already know that, but if you have some slow connection, you might still see it downloading or installing. But yeah, you would typically search if your stuff is ready over here in the installation status tab. All right. Now I already have everything installed, so that means we're good to go in setting up our environment. Another thing I do require my students to have is Google Drive on their computer, so that they can keep all of their files in one place in the case that their computer fails at some point or is lost and a replacement is needed. So to do that, first you got to make sure that you have Google Drive installed on your computer, so you can also install that in the Software Center. You would just do the same steps, but I already have it installed, and in order to search for it, you would type in Google Drive, and Google Drive should pop up. If it doesn't pop up, I'd recommend checking the Software Center, but all you're going to do is click Google Drive, and stuff is going to seem like nothing's happened, but in reality, a bunch of things really happened in the background. So you might see a grayscaled icon for Google Drive down here, somewhere down here, but if you don't, it might just be in this little up arrow menu, so you're going to go ahead and click that, and here you see any background software over here. Over here we have Google Drive, and yours might be grayscaled. So if it's grayscaled, you're going to go ahead and click it and log in. I'm already logged in, so I'm not going to go through that, but once you log in, you're just going to wait, and now you will be now if you go to the File Explorer, which is this little folder icon over here, and you go to this PC, you'll see, in this case I have 3 drives. I got my C drive, my D drive, and my G drive. The C drive is typically your default drive. The DVD drive, that's if you have a DVD drive on your laptop or computer, and then the Google Drive is, well, your Google Drive, and that's actually connected to your Google Drive that you can access on the browser as well. Alright, so now that we have access to our Google Drive, we're going to go ahead and create a folder strictly for coding. So when you first click to your G drive, you'll see something like this. I'm just going to go to my drive, and I already have a bunch of folders. I'm going to go to my code folder over here, and this is where I code specifically for my classes. But I'm going to go ahead and make a new folder, and that's just by right-clicking New Folder, and I'm going to call this whatever I want. I'm going to call it Example, since we're going to start with this example for this video. But all I did was create the new folder by just right-clicking New Folder, and I renamed it to Example. I entered Example, and now this is where I'm going to have all my code for examples. So now we can actually go ahead and start the VS Code environment, and I already have it pinned to my start menu, or my taskbar, excuse me, and also my start menu actually, but you might not have it shown up in your start menu anywhere to start with. So in order to find it, you're just going to go back to Start and type in VS Code or Visual Studio Code, whichever, and you're just going to go ahead and click it, and VS Code pops up. See, it's 1.73.1, that's the most recent one, but we don't have that right now. this is our IDE, and now for you, you most likely chose dark mode, and I believe there was, to start off with, you have light, dark, and dark with high contrast, but this is what you most likely chose, and later on I'll actually show you what theme it is that I actually use in my classroom and personally. But for now, we'll start off with dark mode so you can still follow along. To start us up, let's go ahead and open up that folder we just made. Alright, now for you, you may have some button over here on the left that says open folder. But over here, I have open folder right here. But you can also go ahead and file, open folder. I'm going to go ahead and click it over here. And we're going to go ahead and click Google Drive, My Drive, Code, and there's example, which is what we made earlier. So I'm going to go ahead and select the folder, and 1.73.1 is the most recent version. We don't have that in our district right now. I'm going to go ahead and close Get Started. Alright. Now that we have a place to code, let's make sure that our software is downloaded so we can actually code on here. So let's go ahead and open up a new terminal. Up here we have File, Edit, Selection, View, Go, Run, Terminal, and Help. You might have guessed we're going to go ahead and click Terminal and create a new terminal. Oh, excuse me. Alright, so this should have popped up, and this is your terminal. And right now we're actually using the PowerShell terminal, which is what typically defaults to if you're using this in Windows. But we're gonna go ahead and just type in a few things to make sure that we have our versions for whatever it is that we code in. For Java, that's going to be Java -- version, and here you can see this popped up, and this is exactly what we want. Alright, as long as we have this, we can code in Java. Alright, if you got something else, like a big block of red text, something's wrong. And basically, that just means you either didn't install it, you probably had VS Code opened up, and you just have to restart it, or you just have to restart your computer entirely. If you made sure that it's installed, you reset VS Code, you reset your computer, and it still doesn't work, I'd recommend checking up with me or switching out a laptop. But another way is just with -version, which gives you a somewhat different, not really different, the only thing that's different is the first line, but yeah, that's how you check the version for Java. For Node or JavaScript, you're just going to type in Node -version. Excuse me, I believe it was -- version. Yes, -- version. And another thing to check for JavaScript is npm -version, or I believe it's -version. And boom, yes, we do get the npm and Node versions. If you download Python, I believe last time I tried it, I don't have Python on this, I don't believe. Can't remember. But you would just type in Python or Python 3. Nope. But you would type it in just like that, Python -version or -- version, or even try out with Python 3 if you're getting something like this. Install. In this case, I'll talk about Python later on, but this is how you would typically search up the version for Python. And basically for any of them, if you got anything that's not a version number, then you would probably just have to make sure that it's installed, reset VS Code if you have to, reset your computer if you have to, and just look for some help, whether it's from me or from just switching up a computer or classmate or whomever. Alright, now that we have our software to start coding, let's download some extensions to help us out and make programming faster and easier. If you take a look over on this left side over here, we have Explorer, Search, Source Control, Run and Debug, and we also have extensions. The extensions tab, which is the 4 little blocks, we're going to go ahead and click that so we can download a few things. Alright, now the first thing we're going to download is called CodeRunner. Alright, I already have it installed, but you would only have a single button that says install. You're going to go ahead and click install. For Java, you're going to download the extension pack for Java. And all this is, I'll close the terminal. All this is just 6 packs. And it's just pretty helpful so that you can download all 6 packs at once. And actually, it's going to have a few snippets that's going to really help us in the long run when we code a bunch of Java. Alright, for Python, we have the Python extension pack right here. I don't have this installed in this computer, but you're just going to go ahead and click install. And you'll have the Python extension pack. And for JavaScript, you're going to have JavaScript, I believe it was ES6, yes, right there, code snippets. You're going to go ahead and download that. Alright, as I said earlier, I do have a certain theme that I use, and obviously mine's not going to be the same, but if you choose to follow along with it, it's called Night Owl, and I like using it better. It has a few. I use the regular Night Owl. There's some with italics, which you'll later see. There's Night Owl Light, which kind of burns my eyes, but I like using Night Owl. I just like the calming tone of it. Now, obviously, you don't have to follow along with this, but I'm just letting you know that I am using a different theme than you. So you shouldn't be asking yourself, hey, mine doesn't look like yours, am I doing something wrong? The answer to that is no, it's just a theme, right? So again, I am using Night Owl with the italics, and it doesn't specify that I'm using with italics, but I'm using it with italics. And another one that I'm using is the Material Icon theme, which is just themes for icons. Again, you'll see in a bit that if you don't have this, you might see that some icons are different than others. And just so you know, again, you're not doing anything wrong. It's just the themes for my environment and for my icons. Alright, there's many different themes for you to try out for your environment, your icons, whatever, so feel free to look through those on your own time, but all you gotta do is click install and apply them. But with that being said, let's go ahead and head back to activate CodeRunner. And at the top over here, we're going to go to File, and we're going to go down to Preferences over here, and then over here to Settings. And here we have our search bar. I'm going to go ahead and search Run in Terminal. And here we have Run Code Configuration. And I'm going to take a guess that yours is actually checked off. You're going to go ahead and check it on with the check mark right here. And then that's pretty much it. You're going to go ahead and close the settings. And if you have any extensions open, go ahead and close those. And so let's actually go back to our Explorer tab, which is the little 2 files over here. Alright, so notice that here we have example. Example was our folder that we made earlier. Alright, so now with the last segment, I'm gonna show you how to create a file. Alright, there's a few ways to go ahead and create a file. You can go ahead and click this this little button for new file. There's one for folders, there's one to refresh, and there's one to collapse folders in Explorer. But you can also right click inside here for a new file, new folder, whatever else you need. I personally like using the little button. It's more convenient for me. But if I bring up my File Explorer, you can see that if I make a file over here, let's call this text.txt. Alright. And if I Alt tab back over here, you can see that I have text over here as well. Alright, and if I delete this file, okay, you can see that text.txt is also deleted over here. So you can actually use these interchangeably if you want, but typically it's I think it's best to start using it over here, so you can kind of get the feel for it. So we're just going to go ahead and create a new file, and let's actually go ahead and start creating the first Java file. Alright, so we're going to have the first.java, and for Java files, you typically want your files to start with an uppercase letter, followed by the extension .java. And we're just going to go ahead and press enter, and boom. Now, don't worry about this, because you're on your school computer. You're going to have a bunch of errors, but these don't really mean anything right now. But now you have your first Java file. I'm going to go ahead and do the same thing for JavaScript. So I'll call this first.js, which stands for JavaScript. And you can kind of tell by the little icons. This little coffee is meant for Java. This little JS is meant for JavaScript. And then finally, let's do first.py. And you can kind of see the Python logo. Neat, right? Alright, well, on our next video, we'll get started with some Java, and I hope y'all got everything under control now. But if you have any questions, feel free to ask me. And, well, happy coding.